I think this is the question I get most from any of the women that I serve and work with is the desire to be more in the feminine. So it's not just you, it's almost every woman is right now in this structure and paradigm that we're in capitalism and patriarchy, whatever, that is creating this inability for us to feel safe in our bodies and safe enough to be feminine. A lot of women are in relationships where they're imbalanced, where the man is more feminine, she's more masculine, she's having to carry and hold a lot. Women are not necessarily, meant to be working full-time jobs, running the household, running and managing the relationship, running and managing a side hustle, doing all the things that we're doing.
When my heart stops, not a second sooner, I'm gonna finish what I've begun. 'Cause my heart's got a reason to believe in me in a dream and whatever may come. And as long as I'm breathing, I'll keep believing that I'm not done until my heart stops.
If you guys are like me and wanting to be more mindful about what's in your products, how many toxins are in your products, and making sure that you're putting good things on your skin and into your body, I highly recommend Osea. I did a total revamp on all my products, and this is one I have been using and now is a staple in my bathroom. I particularly love their Ocean Eyes Age Defining Serum. I feel like I don't have bags under my eyes anymore, and I just feel really good putting this on my skin, knowing something good is going on my skin and into my body. So if you want to check out Osea's products, use our code QTCPOD10 to get 10% off your first purchase.
This is a super special episode for me and special guests. It's almost like I'm
starting to cry.
I know. I was preparing for this and I'm like, I'm definitely going to cry. It's so, I can't even believe it. I can't even believe you're sitting across from me and we're about to have this conversation. And, I have offline had so many amazing, amazing conversations and you are so incredible. And like, what I want to say first is like, you do so much, but really what I want to acknowledge is who you are. Mm-hmm. And we were talking offline about just how open you are and how vulnerable you are and how authentic and like what you see is what you get. There's no masks. There's no facades. Like you really give yourself to everything that you do. So you had a book come out this week, you have your podcast, you have your retreats, you have all these things you do. But for me, it's who you are and who you are to me. So I welcome, this project of mine, you've been like here from the beginning for it. So it's so incredible to have you sitting here.
I'm so grateful. It's been such a blessing and a gift for me to see you from the inside and to see and know you in this like really deep and intimate way. And it's such an honor for me to facilitate and be working with women like you. Cause I'm like, wow, like you're so kind and loving and open and like you're just all these amazing things. And I'm like, to be the person that is like your confidant for stuff is just such a gift. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure. I never felt like I would be a coach in life, and now to do it and work with people like you is just the best.
Yeah. It's such I feel that same way as the work I do as a therapist, like the honor.
Yeah.
Like I relate to it's an honor and it's a privilege, and it's so beautiful to watch people kind of like come back to themselves, to understand themselves, to like peel back all these layers. Well, just for everybody to know how you and I connected, I've been following you as many people follow you in your journey and listen to your podcast. And you had put up this promotion for like a consult, like a podcast audit. And I'm like, ooh, let me do that. And at the time I was thinking about working with someone, but I didn't even know that you did that. So we go through our call, we do our audit, and like at the end, I'm like, do you know anybody? And you're like, well, actually I do. I was like, oh my God, let's do it.
Yeah. And I think there was just such a synergy there, between us. And, with anything that I do, it's always like with therapists, there's the presenting problem of the podcast, so we're going to talk about your podcast. We're going to talk about your podcast art. We're going to kind of go into the details, but it's always the energy behind it. And there's always so much more behind it. So whether it was working with you in that situation or working with any of the women I work with, they'll come to session and they have the presenting problem of this thing. And then when you really get into it, it's like, we are just deep in and we got into it. And that's why I love my work, because it's just so beautiful to see the layers of people, to see, I've never ceased to amaze that what women experience and go through, and how much richness and depth. And there's just so much going on.
So much
in their lives.
Yeah.
And so to have that was beautiful. But yeah, we met in that way. And that's usually like, I don't like to really talk about the work that I do, because I feel like people just get called to me and my work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have to be at a certain level or availability for it. So yeah, and it's just been such a gift.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And like, I love what you said about how it kind of started out as the podcast work, but like really towards the end, you were my
0% podcast.
Maybe we didn't talk about the podcast at
we were
all.
a podcast for 3 months.
No, but you have helped me. And the only reason that we're not currently working together is because everything that I'm going through and that how much time that takes up.
And that's the thing, and I think that's a really beautiful point. So we started working together on just for people to know, we started working together on your podcast, which was beautiful and so great to be with your team. And then we started more personal stuff and the energetics behind it. And, our work, we worked together, I think for a little over a year. And it is powerful to also take a break from work, to also take a break from working with someone, to kind of just be in your own process and be in your own work. And for anyone that is doing any type of work, working with therapists, coaches, whatever, it is normal to take breaks and to really just focus on you. Like, there's times for you to work with people and there's times for you to integrate. And I think people don't take enough time to integrate and process, because if you are a coach that's doing it right, you should have your clients take periods where they're really processing the work, because our work is very deep. The work I do with people is very deep. So it would make complete sense that if each week we're bringing up something different, they should take some time to be like, oh, my dad, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah. And I think too, I always say to my clients is like, let's honor the capacity, right? So for me, with everything I have going on with fertility, it's like the capacity to show up in the way that I wanted to do this work with you was just like not there. And in a way, like fertility has swallowed me whole, and that's something I'm working on. But I think taking breaks is great. Integrating is great. And just honoring your capacity where you're at.
Yeah. I've known those periods in my life where I'm like, I'm just in my process with something right now, and I just kind of want to be in it.
Yeah.
I want to be in it. I want to be with myself in it. I'm pretty much I was going to say I'm an internal processor, but that's not true, because I'm on my phone with my friends all the time. But my friends would be like, we are on your speed dial. We're talking all the time. What are you talking about? But there is a moment where there's just things that you need to look at and be within yourself, and you need to just tend to what's here. And sometimes if you have more stuff coming up and in, it's like, what are we going to do with that? Like your capacity is too much. And I think if people are really present to their lives and they're really conscious, you have so much available to you to look at, to process, to integrate, to think about. Like each day I wake up and I'm like, wow, I could process 5 things that just happened this morning. This person didn't text me back. It made me feel rejected. I went here. I felt like they were ignoring me. Like you could think about and work with your whole life on a regular basis.
Yeah, I love that point, because I was looking at your Instagram, like preparing for today, and there was one post about like the soul searching and like really coming back to your own soul. And was I thinking about a conversation today, it's like, I feel like we get lost in the pursuit of things. And a lot of what we talk about on here is these societal milestones and timelines that we're supposed to adhere to. And we're like in pursuit of these things. And I just think that we get so lost, right? So to your point, like, how do we sit with ourselves? How do we process ourselves with ourselves? How do we like stay grounded? I am definitely like victim. Well, I'm not a victim, but like I have gotten lost in the pursuit of finding a partner when I was single. I got pursued in the lost of having a child when I didn't know what that would look like. Yeah. And I've definitely gotten lost in the pursuit of having a second child. And I'm curious, like your thoughts on how do we not get lost in the pursuit of the thing?
Yeah. I think first, just like making a little bubble space for your pursuit of your child and keeping that sacred to you. And, sometimes it's like, I could have the answer and I don't want this to be applicable to your like pursuit of your child, because that's just a natural, innate, beautiful desire of the feminine and of a mother to want a child. But when we have that, let me just talk about pursuit energy. Yeah. And so the pursuit energy was something that I had my whole life. And I feel like it made me kind of crazy. It made me anxious. It made me depressed. That's what made me hit my rock bottom, where I was like, I want my purpose. I want my purpose. I know I'm here for a reason. I don't know what it is. I want my purpose. And I was like pursuing this weird word that I didn't know what it meant or felt. And I didn't know what I was even talking about, because none of us really know how to define purpose. It's like, what's your purpose here? It's like, I don't really know, like even in the state, I'm like, I have a purpose. We could say helping women. We could say goodness and God, whatever the things are. The words change every second. So it was something that caused me great pain. and something that I knew I had to really work with in life because I wanted to live a life that I love. If my purpose was just to achieve, then that's not really a purpose that's going to make me happy or feel satisfied. From an energetic perspective, when we're always in pursuit, we're kind of just always wanting more or desiring. And that's just a state of never enough. And that's a state of the ego. And that's a state of the drive. And so when we're in that, no matter what we get, we're going to want more.
I know.
We've always had that.
Yeah.
You get the partner. Okay, what's my next thing I want? We get the house. Okay, I want the bigger house. Okay, I get this promotion at job. What's the next promotion? We all know what that's like, and we are all on that rat race. We are all stuck on that treadmill.
Yes.
We have been our whole lives, and I've been there. And I'm not that I'm saying I'm perfect or not there now, but when is it that we are ever going to be satisfied with what we currently have? And when you actually can be in the energetic frequency of gratitude and of presence and of gratefulness for what you have, that's when you can have more, because then the energy is, I'm so grateful, give me more. Like, I'm available for more. I'm so grateful. That's why I celebrate in advance. Like, we had our book come out this week, and I had a party and celebration last week that I was like, my book is out. It's doing amazing. It's crushing, because I'm saying to the universe, this is good. I want more. I'm saying to the universe, thank you for all the blessings you've given me. I want more. I'm saying to my friends and family that I'm worthy of celebrating. I'm saying to myself, I'm worthy of celebrating. I'm saying to like the girl that worked so hard to put a book out in the world, I'm so proud of you. Like, when we in life want people to say these things to us, I'm proud of you. You're doing amazing. Like, you're great. Like, you're so successful. You're beautiful. You're all those things. We truly have to say them to ourselves.
Totally.
And turn around and say them to ourselves. So those two things. The last thing I want to say about the pursuit energy is it's what I like to think about it now is just a neural pathway that it's very well grooved in my brain.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is that I've had this neural pathway that I've been using a lot in my life that says, I need more. I need to be more successful. I need to be more rich. I need to be more beautiful. This is not enough. And so simply just removing the drama and the story out of it and just being like, oops, I need to take a different neural pathway that says I'm grateful and I'm happy right where I am. And so we can kind of make it easier for ourselves and be like, oh, I'm just used to this pattern. I'm going to switch my pattern to gratitude for what I have. Can make it lighter and easier and sort of take that anger and frustration at ourselves off, where we feel like we get frustrated at ourselves then for not feeling satisfied.
Yeah. And I also think compassion and patience with yourself, right? To the point about the neural pathway, like, it's so fine tuned and it's so ingrained that it's like, let's let go of the expectation that you're going to find the new neural pathway right away. Or even if it's clear that it's gratitude and love and presence, like, you're not going to move from that one that's been so fine tuned to the new one. So patient, I think
always teach that too, where I'm like, okay, you think, so say for example, you hate yourself. You think you're going to go to loving yourself the next day? That's not true. You will go from hating yourself to neutrality to maybe liking yourself to loving yourself. And it's the same with any of the work, like if you're just on this constant rat race of never feeling like you're enough and you have to always push for more, you're not going to go from that to feeling completely soft and at peace and never burning out the next day. It is such a process. Yeah. And when people can be present for the process, and that's why people give up, because they don't have the results right away.
Yeah. We want that instant gratification. Yeah.
Same.
It's a journey. So you mentioned your book came out this week. Congratulations. What a huge accomplishment.
I'm excited. This is clapping.
It is going to be so helpful to so many.
Yeah. And it really is like the in-between. It's kind of like that, the almost 30 period for a lot of people is that period where they hit this point where they realize that they're not on the timeline that they thought.
Yes.
That was my process. Like by the time I was 30, I wasn't married. I didn't have the career or job that I wanted. I didn't have the money that I wanted. I didn't look like I wanted. I didn't have the friends. Like nothing was lining up to what I thought. I thought I'd be married, kids, house, job, everything. And it wasn't like that. And I think the big timeline that people have of 30 is so intense.
So intense.
And so that's why we wanted to write the book, to support people in that.
I'm curious about the woman that started the podcast, who she was versus the woman that sits in front of me today.
So the woman that started the podcast was so hungry and just desperate to find purpose or meaning in her life. I've always been a spiritual seeker. So I've always had a seeker mentality where I knew there was more in life. I knew there was more than the scene. I've always been someone that's very deep. I've always been someone that hated small talk, always wanted more, knew I was made for more. And so on one side, it's really beautiful, to have that aspect. But on the other side, it can make you crazy. So I think it was a little bit of craziness.
Crazy how? Like, what about that?
just the constant looping. What's my purpose? What am I doing here? What's the point?
Yeah.
You know, just that it's very like, existential. I've thought existential since I was 4. You know, I
believe that.
Yeah. I just am like, what's this all about? So it's very that. And I was very anxious, very depressed. I was struggling with my body. I had adrenal fatigue. I was pushing myself to the max with my workouts and my food. And I had an inner critic that was just running the show. And so when I met Lindsay, you know, I was in between jobs. I had quit a job to try and pursue blogging full time, got myself in a lot of debt, and then met Lindsay and we started to have these really deep conversations. It felt like I had that nourishment that I was looking for in a friendship. And so one day I asked her, you know, do you want to start a podcast? And we started a podcast. We recorded for 8 months on the closet floor, just like random episodes. We practiced a lot of different things before we released. And so I was someone that was just deeply guided by this pursuit feeling, by this knowing that there was more. And then this love and connection with Lindsay, where we were just really enjoying getting to know each other and enjoying the process of creating.
Beautiful. And who you are today.
Who am I today? I am someone, I feel so much more feminine than ever before. I feel softer than ever before. I'm a very soft person when you actually really get to know me. I'm very tender and sweet, but I think that girl didn't feel safe enough to come out when I was younger. I feel like I had to be really hard. I had to be really harsh. I had to push. I had to force. I had to control. I had to make things happen. And now I'm just so much softer, so much more surrendered. So much more in touch and intuitive. I'm so much more patient. I'm so much more present. And I'm someone that still is, you know, has my work to do. But if you do the podcast that I do for 10 years and you're not changed, like something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know, all the work that we've done and all the people we've had on the show. So I just feel more embodied and grateful than ever before. But it doesn't mean that there aren't times where I don't feel like I'm doing enough, or I don't feel like I'm successful enough or pretty enough, or, you know, whatever the things are. It's just I'm so much kinder to myself and I have a shorter bounce back rate, where before it would take me days to recover from my self-talk or from something I felt like I failed at or something I felt like I wasn't good enough for. But now I'm just really short. I see it and I can catch it and be like, oh, I forgive myself for the belief that I'm not enough. Oh, that's that little girl. She wants to be seen right now. I love her. You know, I can be with her. So there's a shorter bounce back rate and there's so much more compassion for myself.
Yeah. That's something you and I had worked on for myself.
Yes,
I relate to the desire, I guess I would say the desire to be more in the feminine energy. And I think, you know, I think I can speak for a lot of women, and you even shared yourself as well. Like, I feel like for whatever reason, we are either stuck in the masculine energy or forced to be in the masculine energy. And we talked a lot about that. For me, we talked a lot about that for what that meant for my relationship, sort of.
For sure. It impacts it.
Totally.
Yeah.
How would you say to shift or start to think about, like, how do I get out of my masculine energy when the feminine energy serves me, or starting to recognize, where does it serve me to be more in the masculine, and then where does it serve me to kind of shut that off?
I think this is the question I get most from any of the women that I serve and work with, is the desire to be more in the feminine. So it's not just you, it's almost every woman is right now in this structure and paradigm that we're in capitalism and patriarchy, whatever, that is creating this inability for us to feel safe in our bodies and safe enough to be feminine. A lot of women are in relationships where they're imbalanced, where the man is more feminine, she's more masculine, she's having to carry and hold a lot. Women are not necessarily, you know, meant to be working full-time jobs, running the household, running and managing the relationship, running and managing a side hustle, doing all the things that we're doing. And what I wrote about a lot in the book is what's happening in the sworkplace right now is that women are not only now out earning men. So that's a stat. Women are now out earning men. They're also more college educated than men. But now in the workplace, women, because we're communal creatures, because we're focused on relationships and emotional intimacy and connection, we are sort of managing and running relationships at work. So we're the ones that are caretaking at work, you know, checking in on people. We're doing that at work, and then we're coming home to our kids and doing that, coming home to the husband and doing that. And we're usually the one that's left behind. So that type of system, in addition to working 9 to 5 in a structure that doesn't support a woman's natural cycles or rest or any of that, isn't really supporting us. What's most important about being in the feminine is safety. So a man actually is in his masculine when he's safe. So a man's response to feeling unsafe is actually being more in the feminine. And a woman's response to being unsafe is actually putting up a masculine shield. So before, when I was more masculine, I was less safe in my body, in my relationship, in my life. Right now, I feel so safe in myself and in my body, so I can be more feminine. So for a woman that wants to be more in her feminine, I think the first thing is to think about how she can create safety in her body. It will be more challenging to create that safety or that experience of fully being embodied in your feminine if you're in a relationship with someone and your dynamic is not balanced or they're not available to have shifts happen to. So in my marriage, as an example, not a lot of the reason, but there was an aspect of our separation that was created because I started to be more feminine. I decided to be more in my feminine. Yeah, he was very in his feminine in our whole relationship.
Really?
I was very in my masculine. I led the relationship. I called the shots. I was deciding everything. I chose him. I pursued him. I chose when we got married. I chose when we got engaged. Like I was just leading everything. And so that created an imbalance in our system. So when I started to choose to be more in my feminine, which actually is being more in my wholeness. And I want women to really get that being more in your feminine is being more in your wholeness. It's not about going from all the way masculine to all the way feminine. I'm working 9 to 5, stomping around in my heels, telling guys what to do, to being fully in a barefoot in Bali. It's like finding your wholeness, which is an integration of both.
Both, yeah.
But in my relationship, when I started to balance myself, love myself more and be more in my feminine, it created an imbalance in our dynamic and it started to rupture the conversations or the connection that we had. So last thing I'll say is that when women want to first thing is creating safety in your system and in yourself. But when women are going to commit to being more in their feminine, it will change your friendships, it will change your work, and it will change your relationships. So you have to also commit to the changes that are happening around you in the relationships you're connected to.
Yeah, I think that can be really difficult.
Yes.
And even just thinking about relationships changing, relationships ending is like sometimes a lot of these systems, we also talked about this with my family, a lot of these systems work because you are in this role.
Yes.
Right. So in your marriage, like the role was being in the masculine role. And once you step out of that role, the whole system crumbles. And I love what you say is like, you have to commit to sort of the unraveling of those things. Those systems probably won't work the same way they did once you step out of that role.
Yes, 100%. I mean, in my relationship, like if I wanted to stay in my masculine the whole time, we would have probably worked maybe, who knows, but that would have happened but I chose, I want my wholeness. I actually want the experience of being not just in my masculine response shield, but also being in my feminine softness. So if people are committed to their wholeness and to their growth, that means better boundaries. That means clear communication. That means prioritizing yourself and your voice. That means making yourself a part of the conversation and the experience. So what can often happen is, most people will prioritize everyone else's experience over their own in these connections with family, with relationships, with friends. And when you stop doing that, that person no longer gets the supply from you. That person no longer uses you. That person, you're out of the power dynamic. That person's maybe no longer pedestaled. And so it changes and shifts everything in a way that seems bad because it seems like you're going to be abandoned, but you're actually just having people leave that were never truly there for the true, real you, but what you could do for them.
Yeah. And being okay with that. Or maybe even as you start to step more into your whole self, expecting that those things are probably going to happen, that things are going to unravel, things are going to shift. I just sort of look at it as like makes room for more and more aligned.
How have you seen that in your life?
I've seen the unraveling for sure. I've seen the unraveling for sure. I know my family system worked when I didn't have a voice, and I just attended your beautiful, amazing, fully expressed retreat, which was like game changing, life changing for me. I mean, our work has been life changing, but I think once I started to have a voice in my family and expressed needs, like that system was upheld by me not having needs because other people had bigger needs than me. The relationships changed and I had to sort of reconcile that or put certain boundaries in place because of that. I've also seen in my relationship when I can be more in my feminine, we're definitely more connected, 100%. So it's for me, it's been a lot of understanding truly who I am.
Yeah.
And feeling safe to be seen. For me, it's feeling safe to be seen. And again, that's a lot of the work that we've done. And watching people be uncomfortable with that, or, not willing to minimize myself anymore to make other people comfortable. Like, I'm very proud of what I've created. I'm very proud of what I'm doing. But sometimes that makes other people uncomfortable, but I don't want to not shine that light because it makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah. Imagine living your whole life not being yourself because someone's uncomfortable. Also, Byron Katie's work, is so powerful here because it's like a lot of times we're assuming people are uncomfortable and maybe they're not. I think too, people also need to check their assumptions.
Yes.
Sometimes we could be like, I'm making them uncomfortable. I'm being too big. I'll give an example. So there was a part of me that believed that no one cared what I had to say. And you would think that's weird having a podcast, but my podcast was interviewing people. So I would put them on and I'd facilitate. So
I relate.
Yeah. Like, I had a part of me that was like, no one cares what I have to say. In my household, it wasn't, my opinion wasn't really needed, requested, desired. I had my parents struggled. So they didn't really want my opinion. No one really was really listening to me or tuning to me. So I have a part that's like, no one cares what you have to say. She's protecting me from feeling sad about that. But what would happen is I would go into situations with people and I would meet them, and then that part would come through and she'd be like, no one cares what you have to say. And then I'd believe that no one cared what I had to say. And then I'd kind of pull back and I'd retreat and I'd hide and I wouldn't share. And then that person actually, rather than thinking, I don't care what she has to say, is like, oh, she's not sharing anything with me.
Right. Their experience of it is so different.
Exactly. She's not opening up to me. I don't think she likes me. I feel like she's hiding from me. So where I'm having this story, that part's creating this story in me, you might have a different story where you're like, oh, she's not open. She's not. So
I've had that happen to me.
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
What?
I thought I was open. I have a similar part, as you know. And wow. Yeah. So I thought I was this open person. I'm this open book. I'm this vulnerable person. And this is a period of my life when I was single and dating. And I had this guy, I'll never forget it. Those moments in your life where it's so vivid, the memory. I know where I was standing, the whole thing. And he said to me, he's like, you think you're so open? He's like, you're the most closed off person I've ever met. And I was like, whoa, that like really hit me. Cause I thought I was, I didn't even realize. I thought I was so open.
There's, because there's performative openness and then there's true openness. And there's just levels to vulnerability. There's just such nuance to it. And so, this is so silly, but one of the 48 Laws of Power book that I've read is to share enough so someone feels close to you, but not so much that they can use anything against you. So it kind of is a little control power game.
Sure. An
example is some of the great speakers and teachers that I follow or listen to. They'll share stories that make you feel like you have insight into their relationship and their life, but actually are very silly and mundane. An example, one of the teachers will say, me and my wife, we always have this fight about will we wash the dishes before dinner or after dinner? And you kind of think, oh my God, dinner, they're together, their wife, oh my gosh, access to this fight. But really, you don't know anything about them from that.
Yeah.
And so there can be levels to how much you're sharing, to how much access people have. But I think I've noticed that too for myself, when I can really be with that part that's saying no one cares to listen to you, and I can kind of just like love her and tend to her and be aware of her, but also still be like, but there is something that I truly in my soul want to share or want to say. That's when we can have the true connection with people. And in the end, it doesn't matter what they're thinking about me or not. It just matters what I want to say or express. So they could think I'm sharing too much, I'm sharing too little. What feels like truth for me is the number one thing. And when you are in that truth of your expression, that's when you are connected with people that are incredible and amazing. And I had a clearing point when I was choosing myself and I chose my boundaries and I chose my voice and I chose my experience over other people's. But then I was magnetizing the best people ever. And I feel so seen and connected in a way that I never thought was possible.
Yeah, I feel like so much work I do with my clients is kind of moving through this fear and lack of vulnerability. I think we are in like a vulnerability crisis.
Say more.
And there's just so many walls and there's so much fear, and there's so much fear to let someone in because of the stories we tell ourselves of what they're going to think, or will they abandon, will they judge? And knowing and trusting, really is so much on the other side of fear. As cheesy as that saying is,
so true.
It's so like, overdone, but it's so true. And I thought about that. You says you like magnetize these other people to you, and just trusting or being willing enough to endure to see what's on the other side of the fear. Because it usually is so much bigger and better than we realize.
I think what I had to do, so it's so interesting, and I don't know if you relate, but I'm very vulnerable and I'm very honest. But it just feels like truth to me. So it doesn't feel vulnerable when what I say doesn't feel vulnerable when I'm ever talking. But but so someone else might be like, I can't believe she's sharing that. But there is a vulnerability to me that's like so much deeper and has such softer access that I think I had to get tender to and like love and honor that part of me. And just like, I had to make my self safe in my own system to be vulnerable with others. So an example, before with vulnerability, I would go to like a boyfriend or someone I was dating, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna be vulnerable. And I'd be like, this happened in my life. And I would be going to them, looking to them to validate or hold me in a very specific way. And if they didn't, I was like, I'm never sharing again. I'm closing off. Like, that was pointless, whatever. And sometimes my brain would be looking for them to do that because I wanted that validated. So I have a belief I want validated. And I want to be held in a very specific way. So I'd kind of want that validated. I'd be like, I'm going to shut off. A lot of people do that. They're like, I'm going to be vulnerable and but we're still looking for them to be the owner of our experience and to be the validator of our experience. So when I can go to myself and like kind of be with my own experience of like, ooh, like, I'm really validating the experience that part of me had with my mom or my dad or with this person. And like, that makes so much sense to me that I was upset and I'm just giving myself the experience that I want from the other. And this all happens internally in our mind's eye. And then it's like, I can share with someone and I don't need them to be the person that's validating the experience. It's just a benefit. It's just like, oh, you get to have access to this part of me. You get a piece of this. And that's what I think what happens with vulnerability is we're looking for someone to do something about it, to validate it, to change the experience. And really, it should just be a point of access to greater intimacy of knowing rather than validating.
Yeah, I think that's where we get so tripped up is when we look for that external validation.
Every time I share something, my little sensors are like, are they attuned to me? Are they blinking? Like, I'm like, no, I'm like a psycho when I share. I'm like, there's a very specific, and also even knowing that about yourself. Now at this point in my age, and the audience could do this themselves, just having a think like, how do I like to be held? And when I say held, that means supported when I'm going through something. Okay, so for me, I need attunement. I need like full physical body attunement. I need eye contact. I like touch. So I like hands. I like, knee, I'm touchy. I like touch. I like, I like questions. I like my person to be like in it with me. Yeah. I like us both to be like, yo, I like that engagement. Like my favorite people were like, I can't believe, just really like animated because it validates me and it kind of builds me up. But like someone else might need someone that's really quiet and just really present and maybe gives them space and doesn't look at them directly in the eye and maybe doesn't touch them. And so if you know how you like to be held and supported, it's so much easier for the people you love to support you. So now with my friends, I can be like, can you like just attune to me for a second? Can we be here? Like, can we just be in this process? And I know I'm going to get what I want because I know my needs.
What do you say to someone listening? I can imagine someone listening being like, I don't know what that is. Like, how do you understand that for yourself? Yeah.
I think what can be helpful is think about the people in your life that you love and feel safest with. I pray that you have someone in your life. So if you can think about one person, I can think about, I'll say two people in my life as an example. My friend Natalia, she is, every time I call, I'm like, hey, she's like, it drops everything and makes herself available no matter what she's doing. Hey, baby, drops in immediately, asks me the questions, and then she'll just be very soft. She's like, hey, do you want me to hold you or just hear you? Like, how do you want to be held? I can tell her and we can go there. So her being available for me all the time is very sweet and kind. I would be, if she says I have something, like I'm totally fine, but I've always felt seen and heard by her. I always felt like I got a yes. She always drops in immediately, which really helps. And she asks me what I want. How do you want to be supported? So she's having that person. I was able to clock that. I have another friend, Jenna. She's very attuned and she matches, she builds. She's kind of like in it with you. She's like fully invested in your process. So if people don't know how they like to be held, just think about a time in your life. Maybe it was your mom, maybe it was your dad. Wow, they were really there for me and I felt really safe. Or even your therapist. I mean, my therapist is you're the perfect example. It's the guide. My therapist was like one of my first people that taught me how to be truthful and honest with someone. And now I know. So hopefully people have one that can really set the stage and get curious about how they like to be held.
Yeah, I love that. I think there's at least one or a model or someone you can look at and be like, that feels good. That feels that safety.
Yeah, you can even ask like, do I like to be touched? Do I like eye contact? Do I like quiet? Do I like them to ask questions? Do I like them to be, animated or not? Like, what feels good for me in my process? Because that's also your little girl or your little boy that's being vulnerable, because usually it's a part stepping forward. It's like not the self. It's like a little girl or little boy that's like, hey, will you hold me? How do I like to be held? Like, will you be with me on this? And so it's also attuning to like a child almost. Like, how does your little girl want to be tended to?
And I think it's making space to just sit with that a bit and understand it. I feel like I really do feel like in the work that I've done too, like at our core, we all know what we want, what we need. It's accessing it and giving ourselves permission to like drown out the noise, drown out the inner critic, drown out the assumptions that say, I can't be held. My needs can't be met. It's there somewhere. And it's taking the time to kind of really connect with it.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about, because I guess people would have maybe, I can't be held, or I don't want to be held. And yeah, I think I've had that before where I'm like, I've had that. I'm like, no one will, I've said that before so much. No one will know me. No one will ever have access to me. No one will, I can't trust anybody. I've said all these thoughts before.
Same.
Yeah, no one will trust me. No one's going to know me. I can't trust anyone. No one's going to know me. No one will have access to me.
Well, you know this, and I'll share this here. I don't care sharing this here, is that throughout this fertility journey, a couple of things that I've done is these tea experiences. And in one of my tea experiences, I'm sure I definitely shared this with you, there was this part of the experience. It's so hard to tell it like logically, because it's like,
I say no more. Yeah. That's my whole life. Everything I do, I'm like, how do I explain this to the world?
But it was this part of the trip that was like me saying to myself, I want to know this person, but I don't know her. Like,
don't make me cry.
I know. It was so like big for me. It's like, yeah.
Makes me emotional.
I know.
It's so funny. And this is so much of my work is stuff that's just felt sense things. You say that to someone that maybe doesn't have the texture of spirituality or depth that you have, that I have, that probably all your audience has. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You're with yourself all the time. Who's you? What, and they don't have that access to consciousness. But when you have the spiritual lens or just a higher self perspective, you're like, oh my God, that's so tender that my soul wants to know me more deeply or experience all aspects of me in life, rather than just prioritizing the doer aspect,
the part that gets validated. What we learned
if
gets
you could
validated.
Be curious about that and think, what do you think that's speaking to?
I don't think I live my full self. I think there's so many blocks, there's so many narratives, there's so many systems that work because I function a certain way.
This is very real and vulnerable. I hope people realize this is very real and true.
I don't think people, and maybe that's also a lack of knowing quite yet how to let somebody really in. Like, I don't think anyone really knows what I'm going through right now and how I really feel. And I think what that trip shows me is that I do. I mean, and Rob is there. He's in it with me 100%. But does he really know? Like, is everyone watching me get up every day and live life? And yeah, for sure. But do they know what my internal experience is? No, probably not. And I think there's, just there's been a lot of overshadowing, just the way I was brought up and everything with my sister. Like, so yeah, I don't think there's a clear view of me for myself and for others.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I'm curious about the, so when we say like in the desire of, I don't think anyone will know my experience, is there a desire to be known? Is it their desire to have that be known?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, 100%. And I think I can feel it. Like, I relate to what you're saying about some of your friends. Like, I have friends like that where I can totally feel my true self come through. And I have a couple friends that do that for me. And that's the version of myself I love the best. And I guess for anyone listening, like, tuning into that, right? Being attentive to the people or the environments, like, because you could feel it if you start to pay attention to it. You could feel who your true self is, even if it's like feels muddled or unclear.
Yeah. I feel so lucky to have that. But, I didn't spend, I think, it's interesting though. I had different points in my life. People met me at the person that I thought I was or was. Does that make sense? Where I've had, younger in life, I was like, she really knows me. And maybe she did know that version, and knew that to the depth that I could go. So I think we just also, when we know ourselves more deeply, we allow others to know ourselves more deeply. And it is such vulnerable work to be known.
Yeah.
Like it is so much easier to go put on the face, go to work, do the thing. But then also, but if you're someone that wants that lives a soul-led life or wants more, or like, you have to be able to like take off the mask at some point. And I think for me, when I was in the corporate world, I was dying. I was dying. I was like, I cannot fake it anymore. I cannot do this anymore. The words and the language and the priorities and the colors of the lights, just like
everything. It was so depressing.
I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to get closer to who I am. And, Carl Jung says the journey of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And it truly is. Like if you were to look at just the beauty of the unfolding of things, of like, oh, I feel this experience, like even you right now, I feel this experience of a desire to be known more and not having it be a problem. And not having it be an issue, but like, ooh, how beautiful that there's a part of me that knows that there's a more.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that knows I can connect more deeply. Like I'm so curious about that path and journey. Where would that take me? What would that be like? And I relate to you in some ways, knowing for my person, I'm dating after divorce. And I think about that with my partner. And I had this healing experience the other day on a plane by myself where I was like, wow, he's going to know all parts of me probably. And maybe not all, but he's going to know way more parts. And I just was like, wow, to be known like that is so tender.
Yeah.
And so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. You just said so much. I had so many thoughts. I want to talk a little bit about the book because it just resonates so deeply, and I know it will for this audience. So everybody go out and get your book. But speak to it a little bit. It's, I saw a post that says, for women who've outgrown their old self, questioning everything, feels like she's behind, ready to remember who she is. I want you to speak to that. And also sort of like, how do we do that? What does the book offer? Who else is the book for?
So the book is called Almost 30, but it's for people that aren't almost 30. It's for everyone. I think we focused on that because it's the podcast name, first of all. And just because the period of, 25 to 30 is just so powerful. The average age of marriage is 29.5. The average age of the first baby is 28.5. People have debt that they're working with from college. They're moving. Their friendships are changing. So much of the big decisions in your life are happening during this time. So this portal for transformation in your 20s sets the stage for a lot of the rest of your life. But even when I was reading the book on audiobook recently, and I read the book a lot, it's like I was still struggling with and looking at so many of the issues in the book. And in the book, I really wanted to provide like a frame for people to navigate change and transition in their life. This is for the spiritual woman that wants more, the spiritual woman that knows that she's made for a really big, purposeful life. So in it, we start the book with talking about spirituality and talking about your connection to your soul, because that's the foundation for your life. I perceive that to be the foundation for your life, whether it's God or whether your religion or, you go with the universe, that sort of knowance that there is a collaborator with you, that there is something bigger for you, that there is an aspect of you that knows and that is blazing the path and the trail for you is just essential. And so we have that at the beginning. And then we talk through the book about some of the biggest pillars of our lives that make our lives. So that's friendships, that's romantic relationships, that's our body. That's how to nourish our body in a really tactical way, because we've had so many experts on the podcast. We talk about career and money and purpose, because that's so important for us to live the life that we want. And in it, we have really raw, vulnerable stories that Lindsay and I have never shared before.
Wow.
And then we also have expert advice from some of our guests on the show, people like Mel Robbins or Jay Shetty or Glennon Doyle. And I just feel so grateful that it's a guide for someone through things where they can pick it up, they can read a chapter, kind of integrate it and support themselves. That feels like very like a full meal. It's like not a lot of fluff.
Yeah. Like all those pillars are like essential.
And they're where you experience the most change, hopefully for the good. And I think all of them, if we look at them all, you know, a lot of us say we'll take money and career. Like we have so much money stories that we've been given from our parents, from society, from culture. And if we want to have a beautiful life, we need to have a good relationship with money, you know? So how do we rewrite our money stories? How do we become aware of our money stories? And then how do we tactically create a neutral, energetic relationship with money that we can really use it to be more creative, to become more of who we came here to be?
I was just thinking, like, I wish I had this book in my 20s and my 30s, and what an amazing resource for people as they navigate life transition, change, identity shift, uncertainty. Like what an amazing resource to just have as like a
I wish so bad I had it.
I know.
Like there's some sections, even like just some of the sections that I wish I would have had a section on perfectionism.
Yes.
Comparison. Your inner critic. On the body, like how to love your body or accept your body, because I feel like that was torturing me. On romantic relationships and how we prioritize so much finding the one, and how that really just leaves us in a life of seeking outside of ourselves our entire lives. And then career and purpose, like remembering that like it's not your life. The journey is the purpose. It's not just about the destination.
Yeah, I always try to remind myself, especially in this season, that like there's so much more. There was so much more before this. There's so much more ahead of this. Like this is not my whole life. This is like, it's a chapter. It'll be a blip. And I think for me that to have that perspective has been really helpful. But like what we were talking about earlier, in pursuit of, you get so hyper focused on that thing that it's hard to see outside of that. And I think kind of stepping back and saying, life can change quickly.
Yes.
It will change. There will be so many seasons. There will be so many chapters. And I think having this foundation of connection to self as you navigate all of that is going to make it 100 times better.
That's your anchor. You know, you need an anchor. And I think before in life, I didn't have an anchor. My anchor was this relationship. My anchor was, you know, validation. My anchor was this friendship. My anchor was this job. Like if we put our anchor outside of ourselves for, okay, job's good, I'm good. Relationship's good, I'm good. Friendship's good, I'm good. Then we're just never satisfied. So when we can make our own, I'm the decider of if my life is good or bad. I'm the decider of if I'm on the right track. I'm the decider of if I'm showing up well in this relationship, in this friendship. And that's what, and for people that are control freaks, that's the best. Because I'm like, this is what I can control. And when we spend our lives trying to control outside of us, we just lose ourselves.
Yeah. When you're talking about anchors and like anchoring into those things, I'm just picturing this boat just like floating off in the middle of the ocean to nowhere. Oh my gosh, we're probably out of time. I have so much more I want to talk to you about and ask. But one thing I want to ask for you, just for the audience, because we do talk a lot about timeline and timeline pressure and just maybe life not unfolding in a way that we thought. And so you shared like you've gone through divorce, you're currently dating after divorce. How do you feel about where you are now? And are you susceptible to any timeline pressure?
I feel amazing now. So I was in a 10-year relationship. We got divorced. I've been divorced for 2 years, dating now. And I just deeply believe I can have it all. And when I say have it all, that means I can have an amazing relationship. I can have the career that I want. I can have, you know, just the lifestyle that I want to have. And so I just anchor in that faith. And it doesn't mean that there aren't thoughts that come up like, clock is ticking. You know, really? Do you think he's out there? Like for sure. Like I'll have a little noodle every once in a while on those thoughts. And I just, again, like I'm very, very, very mindful of my thoughts. If a thought comes in that is not supportive of what I want to feel, I'm just like, nope, not available. And this is after doing a lot of work to be with the parts. So I've been with the parts, I understand. But then I'll have thoughts that are like, oh yeah, maybe you're too late. No, unavailable for that. That's not serving me right now. That's not serving what I want. So that's how but I do feel like it's not like I'm not prone to pressure. I definitely feel it at the time. I think I say this is what I'll say about it. I'm either crushing it right now and everything's going to work out, or I'm royally fucking it up and nothing is going to, and I'm going to be too late and I'm going to be like 50 and like single with, you know, my cats. And so I just pray that I'm doing the right thing by choosing myself and by trusting the path that I'm on. But I couldn't be happier where I am. You know, last thing I'll say about it is that, you know, most people, so say people want to be in a relationship, they want to be married. Most people are in relationships, they're not fully happy.
For 100%.
They're not satisfied.
Yeah.
That was me. I was a 70% relationship. I wanted, it was a good relationship. I want great. I want epic. I want the person that I'm meant to be with. It doesn't mean it's easy all the time, but I want the person I'm meant to be with. So I'm willing to be uncomfortable and in the unknown for that thing. Same with family. It's like, you know, for me personally, I'm like, I want that so bad. And I just have to trust that, like, if it's meant for me, it will happen to me. And if not, we're going to be talking, but it's like, I just have to trust in this moment. And that's all I can do.
Yeah. I know. I believe in that wholeheartedly. I think for me right now, staying grounded in that is the work for me right now. And I think it was you that asked me, well, when hasn't it all worked out? And when you asked me that, I started crying because it's like, it all has worked out. And it's like, it is being in that trust and it is being in that faith. And when I look back at the anxiety I had around being single, I met this amazing partner. The anxiety around being a mom, I had a mom and I became a mom, and now kind of being in the season of, you know, hoping to be a mom to another. It's like reminding myself that all those things have worked out. It's just the timing that we can't control, and staying patient with all of it. I had a question for you today about how do we navigate the waiting? And the more that I thought about the question, it's like none of it should be waiting. No season should be waiting. It should be living.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That is so good.
That's what I thought. I was going to ask that question because I feel this conversation has been like so healing for me because I'm going through so much. But, you know, I really sat with that question. I was like, because I feel like I'm waiting for the next opportunity to try. Like I'm waiting. And we all feel like we're waiting, or we're in these in-betweens. And then I said to myself, none of it should be waiting.
I mean, it's so beautiful. And the audience, we're so lucky to witness you in this process and have you as a guide, because I know it's been so hard. And, you know, for me, and this is, you know, holding your experience here, but then just for me to witness you and be close to you in this, I have found myself struggling because there is a point where you're like, I'm God, team God all day, but there is a point where I'm like, what's the plan here?
I know.
Where even, you know, I have that with a few of my clients. I love you guys so deeply. So I have to be mindful of that because I get so invested, where I'm like, I'm getting upset at this point. You know, I will be like, I'm feeling confused. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling frustrated. And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
It's like being okay with that. I'm just like, so it makes total sense. And I relate to the waiting. I would even say for me, I find myself in waiting stuff as well. Mine's like success. I'm like, when's my success coming? I mean, I know I'm insane.
I know. You just launched a book. You're on billboards in Times Square.
I'm insane.
But then it's, okay, I know we're out of time. You have to come back because there's so much more to talk about.
I would love to. When we talk about dating.
Yeah, we have to talk about dating. We have to talk about even just what you said. It's like, how are we defining success? Like, what is it even?
Oh, I actually am like going to have a ritual, and I'm going to burn the word success, because that word success keeps me in a prison.
Yeah.
I was with my teacher the other day, and I was talking about that. I was like, I don't like it's same with purpose. There's a weird nebulous energy around success and purpose, where actually that part of me makes success never achieved. And that's the whole point of it. Purpose never achieved, success never achieved. So there's this weird energy of nebulousness where it's like, oh, we need to be successful. And I'm like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. And what if this is the work I do with my clients too. It's like, if we redefine those, like, what if it's not about achieving it? It's how you live it every day. If you define success and purpose in a way that you can live it. And you do. I do. And that's the whole thing, is every day I'm like, my life is amazing. I love everything. I'm so grateful. I feel deeply satisfied. It's just a part. Yeah.
This is where there's the part voice is like, but you aren't successful because of this. And it's like, hey man, shut up. I know. I'm like, hey man, I love you so much, but I'm going to put you in timeout. I was going to say something else. I'm like, I'm just going to put you in timeout.
Oh my God. We should have booked 2 hours for this.
Oh, I know. I'm like, my dream.
We're out of time. I love you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you for being here and spending this time with me. Thank you for everything you have done for me, what you've done for everybody, what you embody, who you are, what you model to people. It's beautiful. It really, really is. You're such a good model for how we should move through this world, how we should treat ourselves, how we should treat each other. I'm so excited for your book. I know it's going to be wildly successful and can't wait to have you back.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Hi, everyone. It's Beth, your favorite therapist, or at least I hope I am, and host of Quiet the Clock. I am so excited to share the secret of my glowing skin with all of you. Lumine Face Pro. This amazing device has completely transformed my skin, and I've noticed a real difference in tone and texture in such a short amount of time. Lumine Face Pro uses advanced microcurrent technology to gently stimulate your facial muscles, promoting collagen production and improving skin elasticity. I mean, amazing. The device is also equipped with LED light therapy, which helps reduce wrinkles and fine lines and promotes cell regeneration. Hello, so perfect for this 43-year-old mama. I need every ounce of this. With regular use, Lumine Face Pro can help you achieve a smoother, brighter, and more even skin tone. It's so easy to use and safe on any skin type. Invest in your skin and experience the difference with Lumine Face Pro. Visit blumine.com today to learn more and order yours. Use the code QTC at checkout to get $30 off your first order. I mean, what a deal. $30 off your first order. I hope you guys run to blumine.com and get yours and love it as much as I do.
Hey guys, I'm Beth. Thank you so much for tuning in to Quiet the Clock. If you want to hear more episodes and learn more about how to dismantle societal timelines, live life on your own terms, live life fully and authentically, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Quiet the Clock Pod. You guys, I'm really excited. We just created all this amazing merch. And so if you're loving the podcast and you want to support our cause and continue to hear amazing episodes, please support us by buying some merch. I am living in these sweatshirts every day. We have a range of colors. We have hoodies, we have mugs, we have hats, we have journals. We have all of the things, and I love having them on because it's just a reminder to quiet the clock, to slow down, to like let life unfold and be happy. So there's meaning and purpose behind wearing it too, which is a nice reminder. So check out our website, quiettheclock.com, to get your merch.